Oh, welcome, welcome. Good day, good afternoon, wherever you are tuning in from. I want to wish you a beautiful time together. This is my second session, the Wednesday webinars. Remember, I started last week. For those who haven't yet listened to that, it's uploaded on YouTube. It's under Spiritual Intelligence. We did a brief session on the importance for us to know a little bit more than just reading the word and praying, but we are called to have the eyes that can see and ears that can hear, and we need to understand the ways of God so that we can be positioned to really move forward during this time that we're living in. So today I want to move forward to the next session. These are spiritual lessons. We want to rebuild our foundations and we want to be ablaze. We want to be filled with God's glory. We want to be light carriers. We want to be glory carriers. We want to be a light on a hill. The word tells us we can no longer hide our light. We can no longer hide our giftings. And I'm specifically talking to women and leaders. This is our time to rise more than any other time in history. This season that we're going on worldwide, there's a shift going on both in the political sphere, but also there's a shift going on the spiritual sphere. But there's a good thing happening because, Isaiah 60 talks about arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Great darkness covers the earth, but the glory, meaning the light of God, will be upon you. And so I want to encourage us from the depths of my heart, for us, for myself, starting with me, and for all of us to come closer, to come higher to God, and to hear his voice, to hear what is the Father saying to you and to me, to really know what is our plan in God's end time program, because he has a space for you and we need your voice. So today I want to talk about an interesting topic. It's called boundaries, because boundaries we always see it sometimes, not all of us, but see it sort of as something negative. But why boundaries and love? Because I'm connecting love with boundaries. And for me, boundaries is an internal system that equips you and enables you to love well, to love with courage. Jesus came and he said, I come with truth and with grace. So boundaries is a theme that I will be touching on here in the Zoom, in this webinar, but I'm going to do it on my podcast. I'm going to go into more detail. So if you haven't signed up, there's a good time for you to go on to Restore to Rise. Podcast is on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, everything if you want to follow. And these are encouraging thoughts for you as leaders. So I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to give you, share my screen with you and leave for you a couple of thoughts for you to ponder upon regarding boundaries. So boundaries is basically what I'm saying here is that your power, the power of your yes and the power of your no. So the power of your yes and the power of your no, because often we just say boundaries says, no, I cannot do this. No, you cannot come into my life. No, I need to close my gate. I need to close my heart, or I need to, set good boundaries. But we must also be able to say yes, to come out of hiding. And I'm in that season where I'm saying I need to redefine and and come alive to a new yes in my life. Okay. So what are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to? So boundaries are internal property lines. Um, Henry Cloud and John Townsend, they are the authors of the classic book on boundaries. And we all have different revelations and new understanding of that. So I'm trying to make it as simple as possible so that you can go in your own story, in your own journal, in your own teachings, in your own learnings, ask God to teach you what is it that I need to learn about boundaries. Because for me, I see it very much as something very powerful and something beautiful, because you add value, or you embrace and you understand your value, and you want to protect what is good. You want to steward something that is precious to you. And then also you want to be able to say yes and not run away. Because not saying yes is also a boundary problem, but always saying no to everything and just allowing, like we say, this is the garden of your heart, just allowing the doors to open, the gates are open, anyone come in and out. So we want to be able to say yes and we want to be able to say no. So let's look at a few thoughts here. What is the definition? What is the definition of boundary? A boundary, a visual image of a boundary is a gate, it's a wall, it's your name. It's what makes me me and not you when I sit next to you. Why is my name Yvonne and not Helen? Because I've been given definition that's defining who I am, what I look like. I'm not the person sitting next to you. So this who I am, and that's a huge theme that we are all looking at. I looked at that a little bit last week. Understanding our identity. So the who you are is emphasized by your boundaries that you set internally, defines you. And it's also internal, like internal property line. If you look at the physical line, we'd say, whose address is there, exactly who lives there. So now boundaries is also saying, what am I responsible for? And what am I not responsible for? You could keep the good in and you keep the bad out. So in this image, the gate is closed. You don't let anyone in. You don't let anyone into your life. And I know it's sometimes hard, but I'm just saying, as you grow, as you are moving to a higher version of who you are, and as you become more visionary about your future, and you want to grow and develop personal development, spiritual development, leadership development, emotional development. That's all who we are. That's all the big holistic approach to growth and to what I believe is also for us to be good stewards of the giftings that our greater God has given to us. So boundaries defines you. Boundaries defines what you're responsible for and what you're not responsible for. And so I want you to remember that those are invisible property lines, the internal system, so that we can know what is. The boundaries helps me, and this is where I want to move in, because I've been doing a lot of thoughts and writings and teachings, and you will hear more of that. I'm going to do a lot of writing, and God has placed it deeply upon my heart that we need to understand love at a high level. We need to not necessarily redefine, but reorder love. I talked last week about recalibration. We need to also recalibrate love to know what it is, that agape love, that love that talks about all those things that are beautiful. So boundaries help me to love with courage. What does that mean? So when you say no, is that tough love that we know, that we talked about? When I say no to the bad, and say yes to the good, and also no to people who want to take advantage of you, no to people who want to abuse you, or people who want to put you down, or people who are not there for you. So you need to be able to say no to that. And also no to, you have to say no to something, to all these invitations that you get, even if it's good invitations, but to be able to know how to do that. And in order for you to love with courage, the boundaries are needed. Boundaries enable you to love with courage. So you can say yes, and you can say no. So I'm looking at more as, Jesus was able to come full of grace. He gave people grace. He gave people opportunities, but it was also truthful when he would define and say, these are my parameters. This is what I am about, and I want you to obey those things, So boundaries help me to love with courage. Because if you can protect the soil of your heart, the treasure that is within you, if you can nurture and cultivate and activate and become who you are at a high level, then you will be a different person and more of a whole person, and you can love better. But if you don't take care of your heart, people, if you don't take care of your emotions, of your thoughts and your thought processes and your patterns, then we don't have something to give. We don't love well. So boundaries are there to say, no, what is there? What must I cultivate? What must I maybe sometimes close as a time? And even these last 3 years for my life, I needed to really kind of say, okay, let me just step back, close the gates, and what is going on inside of me? What is God saying to me about my next level? What must I reorder? What must I, as we say, we're under reconstruction, what must be reconstructed? What must be broken down? What must be rebuilt? So courage is connected to love, my dear ones. All right? So boundaries help me to love with courage. And then what is the purpose of boundaries? What is the purpose if I say I need to say no and I need to say yes? What is the purpose thereof? And I'm gonna talk about it a little bit more. So I want to come to this. There's a beautiful verse in scripture that talks about guard your heart, for out of your heart the wellspring of life will flow. Guard your heart. And for me, the guarding of your heart is being a good steward of your heart. It's a treasure that has been given to you, something precious. Your life is precious. It's been, the very breath of God is in your life. And so to value who you are, you first of all need to value that before other people will value you. Because if you don't value yourself, if you don't love, like we say, love ourselves, if you don't understand the value, you will abuse yourself too. They say the purpose of a thing is found in its value. If you give a little kid a phone, the iPhone, the highest phone, they won't understand. They will just abuse it because they don't understand the value. You need to understand your value. And so God has given you thoughts, He's given you emotions, He's given you capacities, talents, and He's given you a destiny. And you are on the earth to discover with Him your purpose and to live purposeful, to live at a high level, and to be able to move into transformation. And this is the process that we're all in. And so it's an ongoing journey. However, we need to be able to, and part of the tools for us to live and to move forward is boundaries. Be able to say, I need to say no to this. I need to say yes to this. I need to know who I am. I need to have functional boundaries. Like, how am I productive? How can I execute the things that God has given to me? So, first of all, the boundaries that I'm talking about today is the emotional, the mental boundaries, your heart. Steward your heart, because out of your heart, you think, you feel, and you activate things. You think and you feel, and you push through. So boundaries enable you to steward your heart well. Are you with me? So just write that, out of my heart, the wellspring of life flow. So if I have pain in my heart, if my heart has been wounded, if I don't do the inner work of taking care of my patterns, understanding, why do I repeat these patterns? Am I dealing with unforgiveness in my heart? Do I have bitterness that I need to really say, where is it coming from? What are the root causes? And so that is part of the cultivation of the heart, the soil of your heart. And that is what you want to be a good steward of. And you need to look at that very intently. If not, people, we're going to sabotage our own growth. All right. So we're not going to be able to live or love well. We are going to reproduce what we see in us, the unhealed places we're going to project onto someone else. All right. So that's a big topic, and I will be able to do a little bit more on my other teachings. But this is just something for you to think through and to ask questions in the comments, because I'm going to leave this with you. Just write to me, and I will be able to ask you or answer more of those questions. So it's the soil. It's the image there. If you think of how do I take care of this of my treasure, it's like the earth is like a garden. We all talked about that, because that's always the image that even scripture uses, and it's an easy image for us to know that in the soil of my heart, for that soil to be fertile, for the seed to grow in that soil, the seed, the good seed, you are seed. And I'm speaking now to those who understand my language when it comes to kingdom language. When you believe in the creator, when you believe in God as your creator, you are the planting of the Lord. In other words, he says, you are my planting. You're my investment. So he invested in you. Now he's planting us on the earth. And he says, I want you to grow. I want you to be fruitful. That's the word. He said, I want you to succeed. So success in our work, in our relationships, it's a spiritual thing. That's spiritual intelligence. It's not just, okay, my success, my high level, my goals are separate from my spirituality. No, this is together. And so nurturing your heart is like nurturing the earth, soil, whatever you grow, tilting. What is there that I need to tilt? How do I fertilize? How do I grow? And how do I then develop? Because in a seed, there's a sequence of growth is in the seed. The seed must die before it can grow. The seed must be in good soil for it to grow. And the seed must go through all the different temperatures. So boundaries allow us to protect and nurture the soil of my heart, of your heart, to remove the rocky parts and the weeds, all those things that I talked about earlier. Write in your journal, in your meditation, just read that one verse. And I want to encourage you some examples to read Psalm 23, it restores my soul. Read that verse in Proverbs 3:23, when it talks about guarding your heart. And I can give you more scripture. And then sit still with yourself. I have to sit still enough without a phone, without any music, without any noise. Sit still and say, what's going on inside of me? And just write it. Why am I angry? What makes me angry? Then we'll think it through. Why is my heart numb? Why am I hardening my heart? What are the disappointments in my life and the disillusionment that I need to just kind of articulate and put it out on paper, and then have a good conversation with God, and an emotional and an intellectual conversation with him, and allow him to speak, and speak to some good people. That's why boundaries are important. You cannot share your heart and there's vulnerable places in your heart with anyone. And this is the way I'm saying boundaries, protect. Don't share it with people who do not appreciate your heart. All right? So it's a soil. Boundaries allow you to protect the beauty inside of you. When you say no to the bad and no to unhealthy patterns and no to unhealthy people. All right. Boundaries also gives you definition to your purpose and your vision. And I want to just leave it for there in my sharing. Those are notes I wanted to share with you. Boundaries give you definition on your vision and your purpose, because once I know who I am, once I understand my patterns, once I understand what God has invested in me, I can then be that light. When He says, I am light. And it's not just, is it, you're the light, you're light of the world. So you're a city on a hill, and don't dim your light. But if you don't have the value, if you don't understand your value, if you don't understand there's so much more inside of you that is still in the process of becoming, if you don't understand that there's some giftings in you that is hidden, and often those things are hidden under the cover of shame, under the cover of a lower view of self, under the cover, like I've just heard this expression, possibility blindness. We're blinded because we don't understand the possibilities that are out there for us to embrace, because we just don't believe in ourselves enough, or we don't trust. We become so embittered or so indifferent that we don't believe anymore, because we no longer want to take risks because we've been so disappointed. And now we're hurting, and now we're protecting our hearts. And we say, no one is going to come into my heart anymore. I'm going to open my heart. I'm going to try again. I'm going to risk again. I'm going to start this business again. I'm going to pastor or lead in again. Those are all things we go through. I have to evaluate my own heart and say, God, no matter how I feel, you didn't make my heart to be stony. I want to be alive to my heart. No matter the pain, no matter the disappointment, I come back and say, okay, what is inside? Let me think it through. Why am I disappointed? Why am I hurting? And then I can be a good steward, and I can either go for coaching, therapy, I have pastoral help. I can just sit also, first of all, to listen to God and say, God, I pour out my heart. And can you just listen to me, God? I don't need you to say now. Because God is here, He cares and He loves us deeply. And we need to be given that permission. So part of me saying yes is part of me saying yes to the purpose and my destiny and the mandate, the assignment that God has given to me. Because I'm speaking to people who are already functioning on that level. Leaders, people you are leader of your home, you're leader of a ministry or industry or company, and you want to function and be more fruitful, be more successful. You want to function at a high level. You need to be motivated by this love, and boundaries enable you. Boundaries will be the internal, like I said, the internal system that can sponsor, that can empower you to love well and to be able to function at a high level when it comes to your purpose and your vision. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts. I want you to meditate upon that, to understand that boundaries, they have internal property lines. Boundaries are needed for you to love at a deep and a high level. Boundaries will rearrange your relationships, because you will no longer share your heart and your dreams and everything and your vulnerability with anyone, even if they are friends. First, need to find out, are these the people that you want to share it with? And don't share it with everyone. Be slower to talk and quicker to listen, and to protect with the treasure that is within us. The Bible speaks in very simple language. It says, don't throw your pearls to the swines, And it tells you to shake your dust off if people don't accept you. When you share beautiful things to them, when you share value and they don't want it, just say bye-bye. I don't need to. I need to shake my dust off my feet. Is it shake off your dust, shake the dust off your feet and go. So there are boundary, those are boundary languages, but I want to encourage you to really value who you are. And with God's help and His word and His principles, that's spiritual intelligence. You want to know what's inside of me that I deeply desire, there's more in me. And I know that. And so what needs to be, unleashed, and what needs to be healed and restored. So may God bless you. I pray that He would enable you to have ears to hear and to have discerning hearts and to have the courage to look into your heart and to say yes, a bold yes and also a bold no, and to know the difference so that you and I can be the courageous people to love well on the earth, for such a time as this, to be able to love our people, to speak truth to power. But for us to have that voice, that powerful voice, we need to be good stewards of what's inside of us. So this is it for me for today. Boundaries, courage to love well. So if you have any questions, leave it for me in the chat. You can contact me. You can follow me on other socials. I'm especially doing some YouTube videos, but my podcasts are coming out. I'm going to expand a little bit more on boundaries. What are the fears? What are the barriers? So that we can have a little bit more understanding. And then how does that apply to my leadership? All right. So have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful day. I pray for you, Father. I pray for each person listening to this session. May their hearts come alive again, awaken within them a deep desire and a passion for life, for love, and for you and for the world that you've called them to impact. May they truly be a city on a hill that will shine, and may their light not be dimmed. Amen. Until next time, bye for now. So remember, you can follow me, subscribe to YouTube, Restore to Rise podcast, and you can also write to me for any questions that you have. All right. Bye.